Hello everybody. Today in this video I am going to explain all the question answers and other back exercises of the lesson Heidi meets grandfather. So let us begin with exercise A. Read the line and answer the question. So this is a line. On the basis of this line there are some questions, we have to answer them. She had lived with her aunt from the time her parents had died. So question number 1 related to this line is, who is this sentence about? This sentence is about Heidi. How old is she? She is 5 years old. Why did she live with her aunt? She lived with her aunt because her parents had died. What is her aunt's name? Her aunt's name is Dete. Where are they going? They are going to her grandfather's house. Let us move to exercise C. Answer the following questions. These are a bit long question answers. Question number 1. Why was Dete taking Heidi to Dorfli? Dete was taking Heidi to Dorfli to live with her grandfather as her parents had died. Question number 2. Why was grandfather not very happy to see Heidi? Grandfather was not very happy to see Heidi because he was living alone after his son's death. Why did Heidi decide to make her bed in the loft? Heidi decided to make her bed in the loft because it was nice, warm, and the hay was soft. She could enjoy the natural beauty from the window. Question number 4. Why was grandfather pleased with her? Grandfather was pleased with her because she helped him to do the dishes and other household chores. Question number 5. Do you think Heidi was happy with her grandfather? Give reasons for your answer. Heidi was happy with her grandfather because she loved nature and fresh air. So now let us move to exercise B. Exercise E we have already done. Exercise B. Write true or false. Dete had got a job in Frankfurt. True. Grandfather was happy to see Heidi. False. Heidi had a bedroom of her own. False. Heidi set the table for supper. True. Peter was a cowherd. False. He was not cowherd, he was a goatherd. So these question answers, exercise C also we have already done. Exercise second 1. Heidi took the dishes and cutlery from the cupboard and began to set the table. So knives, forks and spoons are together called cutlery. So one word is given for this group of words. So give one word for each of the following groups. You can choose the answer from the words given below. So these are the words given below and these are the groups of words. You have to choose the correct word from these words. Number 1, rice, wheat, cornflakes. So these are called cereals. Cloves, cinnamon, cardamom. These are called spices. Coffee, tea, lemonade. These are called beverages. Cups, plates, balls. These are called crockery. Pens, pencils, notebooks. These are called stationery. So, to all these groups of words, one word has been given. So you can see the spellings here from here. Next exercise. Heidi and grandfather sat down to a supper of bread, cheese and goat's milk. You have already learned the meaning of the word supper. What is the meaning of the supper? Light evening meal. People usually have supper in the evening. What is the name given to these meals? The words given below will help you. Use the words to make sentences. So these are the words from where we have to choose the correct word. A late morning meal eaten instead of breakfast and lunch. So this is a late morning meal, like on holidays, on Sundays. Generally, we don't get up early in the morning. We wake up late, and breakfast is also late. So the meal that is not early in the morning, that is a late morning meal eaten instead of breakfast and lunch. We have that meal at around 11 or 12 o'clock. So that meal is called brunch. So we don't have breakfast, we don't have lunch. Instead of that, we have heavy breakfast, that is called brunch. First meal of the day, that is called breakfast. Main meal of the day, usually at midday or a little later. So this is the main meal of the day. This is called lunch. Snacks and refreshments like tea, sandwiches, cakes, etc. Usually late in the afternoon, means after lunch, late in the afternoon around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, or early evening. That is called tea. A meal eaten in the late afternoon or early evening, usually consisting of a cooked dishes, bread and butter, tea, etc. That meal is called, that is taken in the late afternoon or early evening, that is around 5 o'clock, that is called high tea. The last meal of the day, that is at night, that is called dinner. Alright, now let us move to the grammar portion. Heidi had bread, cheese and milk for supper. Peter looked after grandfather's goats. Look at the underlined words in the first sentence. We cannot say a bread, one cheese, two milks. We can say a loaf of bread, a slice of cheese, a glass of milk. We can also say some bread, some cheese, some milk. As you can see, nouns like these cannot be counted. We call them uncountable nouns. So bread, cheese, milk, we can't count them. We can't say a bread, a cheese, a milk. We don't say this. We say a loaf of bread, a piece of cheese, a glass of milk. So the nouns that we cannot count, they are called uncountable nouns. So we use words like some, much, a little, a lot of, no before uncountable nouns. Now look at the words goats in the second sentence. We can count the number of goats. Similarly, we can also count pens, books, tables, etc. The nouns that can be counted are called countable nouns. So in the second sentence, it is goats. We can count 5 goats, 10 goats, 2 goats. So the nouns that we can count, like pens, we can count pens, we can count books, we can count tables. So the nouns that can be counted are called countable nouns. So we use words like a, an. A and an means one, many, several, a few, one, two, three, and any other number before countable nouns. So what are uncountable nouns? The nouns that cannot be counted are called uncountable nouns, and the nouns that can be counted are called countable nouns. So when we say 2 slices of bread, 2 cubes of cheese, 1 liter of milk, we can count the nouns. Underline the nouns in these sentences and say whether they are countable or uncountable. So, how much rice is there in the sack? So, rice we can't count. This is uncountable. Sack is countable. How many stories are there in the new building? Stories means floors. How many floors are there? Stories we can count, and building we can also count building. Both are countable. I would like 5 glasses of lemonade, please. So we can count glasses, but we can't count lemonade. So glasses is countable and lemonade is uncountable. There was some fresh hay in the room. Hay is uncountable and room is countable. He was greedy. He ate 4 ice creams. Ice creams is countable. I drank 3 glasses of water. Glasses is countable, whereas water is uncountable. The cows are chewing on some grass. This I have forgotten to underline. So cows is countable and grass is uncountable. Again I am repeating, cows is countable and grass is uncountable. Next exercise. Read these sentences from the lesson. Tate introduced Heidi to her grandfather. He shook her hand. She began to make a bed and some fresh sweet-smelling hay. She helped grandfather clear the table and wash the dishes. So in these sentences, the nouns are all doing something. The words introduced, shook, began, helped, all show some action. So they all tell us what a person or thing does. We call them doing words or verbs. So a verb shows action. It also tells us that something belongs to someone. It can also tell us about the state of a person or thing. In the lower classes, in class 1 and class 2, you were told the definition of verb in a very simple words, that action words are called verbs or doing words are called verbs. So in the above sentences, that, he, she, here also she, they are doing something. Here in the first sentence, introduced, shook, began, helped. These are all doing words, action words. So that is why they are called verbs. So a verb not only shows the action, it also tells us that something belongs to someone. Like I have a new car. She has a big house. It can also tell us about the state of a person or a thing. For example, Heidi has a home in the mountains. Has means it belongs to Heidi. She has something. Heidi is a 5 years old girl. It is a state. State of whom? Heidi. It is a state of person. So verb also tells us that something belongs to someone, like this home belongs to Heidi, and the state of a person, that Heidi is 5-year-old girl. Now let us do the exercise. Underline the verbs in these sentences and say whether they show an action, belonging, or the state of a person or thing is in. So it's very important to understand the question very carefully. So let us read it again. Underline the verbs. We have to underline the verbs in these sentences and say whether these verbs show an action, or they show belonging, or they show the state of a person or the state of a thing. Now, a sentence. Grandfather moved into a hut on the mountain slopes. First of all, we will underline the verb. In this sentence, moved is verb, so moved is action. So we will write here action. You have to underline and you have to write action. She was a little afraid of him. So was. Was is state of a person. What was she? She was a little afraid. So this shows state of a person. The house was just one room. So the house was. This is a state of thing. House is thing. So this is a state of thing. The two of them sat down to supper. So sat here shows action. Heidi said that the meal was truly delicious. Heidi said. Said shows action and was shows the state of thing. Meal is thing. So it is the state of thing. They sat outside and watched the sunset. Sat shows the action, whereas watched also shows the action. Both the verbs in this sentence, they show action. He takes them into the mountains. Takes also shows action. Ranbir Kapoor is a good actor. So here is shows the state of a person. Who is the person here? Ranbir Kapoor. So in this sentence, we have to underline the verbs and show whether and tell whether they are showing action or a state of a person or a state of a thing. I hope all of you would have understood all the exercises. Now, by this we have done all the back exercises. So dear students, read the lesson again and understand the explanation that I gave in my previous video. You can watch it again in order to understand the story. In this video, I have explained and discussed all the back exercises. I hope all of you would have understood it. So, bye bye, dear children. See you in the next video.